that if you get them right, the chances of getting your visa to the country is almost 100%. Now, you're not going to come to the country here and expect them to give you handouts. Of course, you already see the racial tension, and you must have that. You mess that up, your chances for getting a visa to the country becomes almost zero. What's up, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Raphael here. Today we are going to be talking about the 5 most important document sets you need to submit at the Polish embassy or any other European embassy out there if you want to get your visa to the country. We're going to take a break from addressing the Europeans and the other immigration issues now. We're going to focus on those who want to travel. So pay close attention to this video if you want to go to the embassy anytime soon. Of course, before we jump into the video, if you have not joined our WhatsApp community, you can go there and join that community of those who want to travel also and have the discourse and help you need in that community. And if you have not gotten our Europe Travel Bible, 47 countries, everything catalog where you need to go to, the jobs that are prominent in that place, every single thing you need in one guide. Do yourself the favor of getting it so that you can avoid any hassle and trouble with agents and groups and every other issue that will come during your visa process. Without wasting any further time, let's go into this top 5 document sets that you need, that if you get them right, the chances of getting your visa to the country is almost 100%. Now, except the quota for the country is filled up and they are not granting visa again, or maybe the person who is issuing your visa just woke up on the wrong side of the bed on that day. Now, if you're talking about documents which you take to the embassy, of course, we know the preliminary documents that are like relevant, your passport photo. These are like preliminary relevant documents. Even your flight reservation, these ones are very preliminary. You know that you should have these ones while you're going. We're not going to be talking about these ones. We're going to be talking about these other ones that seem to be, very ordinary. People know them, but if you do not get them properly arranged well, or if you make a mistake or make a mess in them, the chances of getting your visa reduces from 90% or even 99% to like 10% instantly if you make an error in one of these documentations. The first set of documents, and the most important one of the 5, is your confirmation of travel reason. Now, why are you traveling to the country? Are you traveling to study? Are you traveling to work? Do you have your employment letter? Do you have your letter of your contract, your employment contract from your employer? Also, are you coming to study? Do you have your confirmation letter? Do you have other important document from the school that proves that you are now in the school? Do you have a letter of admission? All of these things, these are the most important document sets. If you make an error with this document set, either there are typographical errors on them, or maybe you have a contract that doesn't reach the exact time that is stipulated when it comes to work hour in the country precisely, you already have an issue up front. You must make sure that before you go to the embassy, you've cross-checked your documents to see that you have every single document packed. Your admission letter, your letter of confirmation of payment, every single detail that needs to be confirmed that this is the reason why you are traveling to the country to work or to study, or even if let's say if it's a conference, let's say your invitation letter to the place where you're doing the conference. This is part of that document set that you must have if you're going there. That is number 1. Number 2 is your proof of funds. Now, the Europeans do not joke with the proof of funds when it comes to, you're not going to come to the country here and expect them to give you handouts. Of course, you already see the racial tension or the anti-immigrant sentiment that is brewing in the country. So do you think you will come in here and anybody will hand you free cash? No, nobody will give you free cash. So that's why you have to prove that you have enough money to take you through the time of studies, or you have enough money to move you over to the country and get you settled before you start working and start getting payment. Make sure you don't make any mistake on the proof of funds. Go online and ask Google or even ask ChatGPT, or check out there on the country's official website as to how much you need to have as a proof of fund, the minimum. Then you can make a maximum amount and put it higher, but at least the minimum that is written on the website or any other place, you must have that. You mess that up, your chances for getting a visa to the country becomes almost zero. Document number 3, and something that looks to seem as though it's not very important: insurance. Now, the Europeans also do not joke with insurance. The system here runs on insurance. Everything is run on insurance. You must make sure that you are properly insured. You're not going to come into Europe and become a liability to the community. No, of course. You must have your health insurance that covers the fact that once you fall sick, you can take this health insurance and go to the hospital, and they're going to provide you with medical service. You're not going to go to the public hospitals or maybe go to a private hospital for free. Nobody will treat you for free. So that liability is not needed in Europe. You have to make sure that you are properly insured before you come into the country to study or to work. No mistakes with that. Go to the country's website, depending on the country, or even the Polish embassy website, and look for what insurances are approved. If it is difficult, you can ask Google. You can join the community and ask people, what insurance did you use? You understand? Find the insurance that is accepted by the embassy, use it, and make sure that you are insured for at least three quarter of your stay. At least 3/4 of your stay in the country must be insured, at least minimum of 1 year, but at least 3/4 to get that perfect 90% mark chance of getting your visa. Important document number 4, which seems to be irrelevant but is also a very big staple when it comes to granting you your visa, is accommodation. You are not going to come to Europe and become part of the homeless crisis. Of course, there's one beautiful thing I see in Europe that I've not seen any African that's actually purely homeless. Like personally here in Poland where I am, right? And in other part of Eastern Europe that I've gone to, you never see any African who is homeless. So accommodation is very important. You must have proof of accommodation. If you're coming for a conference or coming for visitation, to the country, you must have a proof of your hotel stay, everything properly booked and paid for. If you're coming to study, you must have proof of accommodation either from the school or that you yourself have already, a hostel that you've paid for and deposited, or other things like that. Also, if you're coming to work, you must have proof of accommodation, probably from your employer, which is like the most place you get that proof of accommodation from. But be that as it may, if you are coming into the country, whatever country, you must have a proof of accommodation. You must have an address where you want to settle upon arrival, to avoid you being a nuisance to the society. And maybe after 1 or 2 weeks, you're already patched around and looking for where to live. That would immediately give you a hit. Final document set, and the one which is also very important, is your proof of return. Of course, as you can see, once again, going back to the anti-immigrant sentiment, people want you to go back home after studies. They want you to go back home after you finish working for the period of time where you come and become employed, which of course, largely, most of us have in mind to go back home after a while, right? But still, you have to prove it up front that you have the core desire to return to your country after you finish your studies or after you finish your period of contract when it comes to working. And the best ways to prove that would be through your SOP, your statement of purpose. You have to prove it in there, stating the fact that you are going to return, which of course you have in mind to do, definitely after studies or after your working duration. You have to prove it there and say it clearly and distinctly that you want to return. Secondly would be other ties back home. Let's say in the form of a letter from your place of work, where you working before you thought about moving over to study or to maybe go and work in Europe. You have to get a letter from your place of work stating that you are going, that they are approving of you to go for this stuff, and then you come back afterwards to keep on working for them, which is of course the truth and the legal way to do it. Also, if you have a property, like a landed property or something that belongs to you, or something that you are, that you have, that is going to definitely bring you back to the country, it's good to include that. If you have also a working business, let's say you're a businessman, or you have something that you are doing already in the country, it's also good to get your documentation for that business to show that, hey, I have this. This is my business. This is what I do. By the time I finish studying or by the time I finish working, I'll come back to Africa and implement what I have learned. And by so doing, of course, you have proven that you are going to return, and definitely you are going to return. In fact, you must return. This, in a nutshell, are the 5 most important documents. That every other things, are like either the ones that are mandatory, that are just like already everyone knows that they're already listed there, or they are not really relevant, and you can go and still get your visa, without them. But these 5 documents, you do not play with them. Make sure that they are top notch. Notarize what you must notarize. Don't leave your documents unnotarized. Any affidavit that must be sworn, make sure you swear it and take it to the embassy, of course, and then wait on the Lord to grant you your visa at the embassy, and hopefully, the consular sees reason in what you have given in your documentation and grant you a proper and legal access into the country, so you wouldn't have to face the hustle of illegal immigrant, refugee, and blah blah blah. But be that as it may, I'm going to see you on the next one. We're going to be talking about the UK. Bye bye.